Fellow Canadians, my name is Stuart Hastings, and I'm speaking to you from Fort McMurray, Alberta, in front of the beautiful Athabasca River. Today is Remembrance Day, a day when we remember the horrific consequences of human conflict. And this is a fitting day, I believe, for me to speak to you, because my idea is no less than the eradication of war and poverty on our planet. And I believe Canada can play an integral role in this process. And we can start by building a political and economic union with our long-term friends and allies, Australia, New Zealand, America, and Great Britain. The prospects of this union are immeasurable, and they start right here at home in the Arctic, where global warming is opening up the Northwest Passage to international shipping for the first time. Canada alone does not have the military resources to effectively claim Arctic sovereignty over this area. However, in a larger political bloc, we would be able to do this, thus securing for ourselves the wealth and prosperity which lie underneath the Arctic seabed. But even more importantly, we need to protect this area environmentally. It's a pristine environmental area and it's quite fragile. And with increased shipping and mining activity, we can't take the risk of lax international law destabilizing the area. So we need to have continental political union in order to make sure that tight environmental laws and regulations apply to the Arctic to make sure that it stays environmentally sound. Likewise, turning to the Great Lakes Basin, the Joint Great Lakes Commission is ineffective and not enough in order to protect this shared natural treasure between Canada and the US. We need tight environmental laws and regulations, which can only be achieved by continental-wide environmental directives based on what they have in the European Union. For example, Southern Ontario is also suffering from a downturn in the manufacturing sector. This is caused primarily for two reasons. First one is bottlenecks at the border. Obviously, with the political union, these bottlenecks would be completely removed and the free movement of goods, peoples, and services would be increased, increasing everyone's own well-being. The second important thing is the wild fluctuations in the Canadian dollar. As we can see right now, the Canadian dollar is very high and the manufacturing sector is suffering as a result. By throwing our lot in with the US dollar and the UK pound, we would have much greater stability, because 400+ million people would be subscribing to the same currency. It would also reduce the interest payments that we pay on the debt, because this currency would be the de facto international currency. We can see this happening with the euro, which is now rivaling the US dollar for this status. And the euro is only subscribed to by 15 of the 27 member nations of the European Union, which, dare I say, is the greatest political and economic achievement in human history. Here we have long-term rivals like Germany and France, who have been at each other for 500 years, who now send members to a common parliament and have a common president and currency, and they have stabilized Europe. And this idea of continental integration has caused such peace and stability that it's being emulated and exported elsewhere. In Africa, we see the fostering of an African Union. In Canada, with the resources of this new political union, working in tandem with the EU, can create and build the institutions of Africa to finally achieve political union on that continent. And they can negotiate with the West as a single trading bloc the way the EU does. A solution to Africa's poverty problem is not more foreign aid and craft dinner. They need political unity, and it's something that we can do to help them. If we look at South Asia, the conflicts in Kashmir and Sri Lanka, sure, they look unsurmountable now and ongoing, but if we just remember that only 50 years ago France and Germany were at each other's throats, it goes to show you what is possible with political unification. And I believe SAARC is the forerunner of a South Asian Union, which will ultimately be the solution to these problems, which are inherently political problems. And looking farther around the world, we see the Association of Southeast Asian Nations and the Union of South American Nations with the same goals by 2020 for a common currency, common central bank, and regional stability. For this is the promise of humanity, to move up the ladder and have greater and greater political organizations, from tribes to city-states to nation-states. And here we are at the transition phase from the nation-state to the continental states, where greater resources, and we can work together and live in harmony and end war and end poverty on this planet. And I believe Canada can start and lead this process. I hope it's an idea you think about. Thank you.